It's a great way of sharing. I've seen some of your podcasts and I'm amazed at some of the stories out that you never know existed. So congratulations.
Well, see, that's it. And, you know, obviously you fit into that. One of the little headers I'm starting to use is among us. So there's all these people that are just like these amazing people that have just hit this, you know, these really high levels and, you know, kicked ass.
And then you want to know more, you look them up on the videos, and yeah, they're really interesting people that you've interviewed so far.
But you genuinely get, like, you know, I'm getting people going, oh my God, you know, I'm trying stuff as a result of seeing Karen's story, or, you know, I started running, or I started whatever it is. And it's just it's so simple, and we can help each other. Like, it's just, but we're sitting on a Zoom story telling us, you know, sitting on a Zoom meeting and telling a story. Like, you don't know where this is going to go. You know what I mean?
Oh, true.
You don't know whose life you're going to touch.
I went through, I had a coach who basically ran me to the ground. It was an era of male dominance, and I got to probably with 3 weeks to go before the Ironman, and I was burnt. I was done. And this guy who was into mindset and training came up from, I think it was Melbourne or somewhere, and someone recommended him. I don't know. We sat on a chair in the Esplanade, and he said, you know, you're cooked. And I was in tears, and he said, but you can still do the race. You're 3 weeks out or 2 weeks, I'm not too sure. And he said, no more training. It's all mind games now. You know, all the training's done. The gate's locked. You're ready to go. And I went, okay, I've made it this far, all that training. And he said, whatever you do, before you get to that end, stop, turn around and have a look at where you've come. And I did that. It was awesome. It was awesome. So it was his advice that I thought, you know, you've got to look, and as a lot of athletes should do, have a look at, you know, the challenges along the way, the training that they put in, and embrace it. Yeah.
The 2000 Hawaiian Ironman World Championship. So it's like kind of recognised as the hardest race in the world, which that's not an exaggeration, is it?
No, it is. Everyone aspires. Anyone who does triathlons, Ironman, you got to qualify. You have to win races to get there. It's not just, I'm going to do the Hawaiian Ironman. You have to qualify. There was 1,500 in the race, and only 300 were female.
Wow.
So, and it was an era where everyone did the swim at once. When the gun went off, there were 1,500 swimmers. Yeah. So these days they broke it up into male and female different starts, and now even they break it up into age group starts. So it's way easier. So way easier now.
I mean, the fact that you just compete in the Hawaiian Ironman is in itself, like, that is, honestly, that's an achievement. And you stopped right before the finishing line.
Yeah. I did.
Okay, well, you know, brave, interesting.
It wasn't that I wasn't going to make it. It was a deliberate stop, as a deliberate turnaround, and people thought I was crazy. Like, you've made it this far, what are you doing? My friend had passed me an Australian flag way up the top of Wellard Drive, and I thought, oh my God, here I am happy, and I went, oh my God, this is such a long way, but I still held it above my head. And he said, whatever you do, you've trained so hard for this, stop before the finishing line, turn around and look at where you've come from.
Wow.
And, you know, you're 1% of the people that, you know, aspire to do this. And it was something that I'm glad I did. Yeah, it was sort of, people were trying to rush me back to the finish line, but I'm just like, no, let me just enjoy this. It was big day out. Let's finish it in style, enjoy it, turn around, and I did that, yeah.
So you at the peak of physical fitness, like, and again, run us through with the Ironman, run us through the distances, like how far you're swimming, how far you.
Yeah, it was a 3.8K swim with an iconic turnaround at this huge ship. And to get to that ship, everyone I'm sure that did that race was just smiling and going, I'm halfway, this is great, this is turnaround. So that's an iconic turnaround in the swim. It's a 180K cycle. And the year I did it was cyclonic winds. So all the bikes were being thrown off the road, and people were coming up with blood all on their sides. And even the motorbikes were being pushed over on the road. So it was a day from hell that I hadn't expected. And then 42K run. And I had everything planned out in my run, and I didn't realize it was all in miles, not kilometers. So all my planning and when I eat and what I eat went out the window because I didn't know how to convert miles to kilometers. And we didn't have any watches like we have now. It was just a little Ironman watch that tells you, you know, little splits or something. And I just went, oh no. So I just went with my pace then, and that was okay too. But it was a day that I hadn't expected with all those wins. Yeah.
Wow. So a 42-kilometer run.
Yeah,
all
it's
right.
hot that day too.
Yeah. Okay. All right. And tell us about your training regime, you know, leading up to that. Like you had a coach. Oh, actually, before we do that, I'm sorry. I meant to.
Yeah.
I do have. Now, I tried really hard to find the footage.
Yeah. I
That's
finished
you.
turning around. I went, yeah, I'm finishing this is online. Yeah.
Wow. So that's you coming across there. Tell us about your training regime heading up to that. And like, you know, because there was some pretty serious, let's be candid, there were some pretty serious barriers that you overcame to do that. And including, you know, some less than, how would I put this politely? Less than helpful coaching.
Very much.
Run me through it. Tell me what happened.
I had, fortunately, I cycled with the guys, and the guys in the pack were really supportive, and they knew that I was doing all that they were doing and more. And there was great respect there, great respect from the guys, and they became really good friends. But I had a coach that was go hard, go home, and there was no, you know, don't whinge, go home if you want to whinge. And we were up for everything on those rides. You know, one particular ride, there was just the coach and I, he actually made it into the Hawaiian Ironman as well on a call down. So I went in with an entry after actually winning a race, but he went in after so many people pulled out from injury or whatever, and he got called up. So we were, you know, at the race on the same time. And one of the times was I had to ride up the Gillies to Atherton and Mariba and back down the Kuranda Range and back home, and it was 200 and something Ks. And I lived on the different side of town. He said, I'll give you half-hour head start and I'll catch you. I panicked, so I rent an extra 15 minutes and I pedaled my heart out to get those 200 odd Ks done. And at one of the coffee shops, it was called the Termite Mound or something, and I had to fill up of water and that there, and I told the lady there, if there's a guy that comes riding by, telling him I'm riding strong and I'll see him at home. He didn't like it. He was so angry that he couldn't catch me, and he didn't know that I left like 15, 20 minutes early because I was panicking more than that half hour was going to give me. But it was that was the mentality. There was no embracing of, oh my God, you rode that by yourself, you rode it strong. Yeah. I couldn't catch you. I would have told him otherwise if he had been supportive, but just to show sort of the mentality. Before I did the Ironman, we did the St. George series, so it was with Brad Bevanera, and he was an awesome in that. I admired him so much, and you had to win those races to do the World Championships, which I did in Switzerland. So I made it over to Switzerland for the World Champions there, but to win the race, I'd finished it, and my coach and a few others were also in it. And when I won it, I went over to him and I said, oh my God, I won it. And he just turned around and said, go away, I'm in pain. So the coaches like that in that era was really tough on your mental. So it was some hard times there. It made you stronger, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I come from a policing background, and look, when I say bastardization, it's like it wasn't the army, okay? We're paramilitary, like it was still a civilian, but it was like, you know, you haven't got what it takes, you know, that kind of thing. And look, my take on that is like having kind of endured it myself, and it's no picnic, is that in some ways it was good because it did, especially if you got that, well, stuff you, no, you know what? I am going to finish this and I'm going to shove it in your face. And that day that I graduate, I get that badge, like I'm going to shove it right up your nose. That's kind of what they wanted, though. I mean, like, I'm not, I'm not going to ask you who your coach was or anything, but like what most of the instructors at the academy wanted was they wanted to bring that out in you. They wanted to, they wanted to kind of draw that out. They wanted to challenge you. They wanted you to beat yourself. They wanted to break you down so you could be rebuilt. Like there was a point to breaking you down, if that makes any sense. It wasn't just breaking you down for the sake of breaking you down so you feel broken and burnt and you're in tears, like you've been working your guts out, like what you said, and you're sitting there in tears and you're ridiculously fit. Like if you hadn't trained for a couple of weeks before you did that, I mean, that's amazing. So you're at your peak of your fitness. You've already got there, but mentally you haven't been built back up. That's not the way things work. And then to get this,
I love training.
Yeah,
I love training, and I think that's what drove me too. I love training.
Okay, but then to get this person saying, "Nah, it's not about the physical side anymore. That's been done. Take that as read. It's sorted. Now it's about you winning this. Now it's about you getting there mentally, and then stopping right before that is so cool." Okay, so how did you get into triathlons? Like, how, let's go back even further now. Tell me about this journey.
Oh, so I guess I grew up in a small country town of about 3,000, and so you ran everywhere, you walked everywhere, tennis, netball, basketball. It was all about walking and running. So I sort of enjoyed going into the bush and doing a little bit of running there for extra training for netball or basketball. And then I went to uni and did a double major of phys ed in education, and that sort of, we had people and coaches there that took you to different spots to run. And I went, oh, I love that. And then unfortunately my parents died, so my mental space was in the bush and long runs. And anybody who knows like good running, your head just gets so much better with a good run. And I've never stopped running since. So that was sort of I went to runs in Melbourne, and that just for the fun of it. They were called fun runs back then. They were just fun runs. So I did a few of those, and then I came up here to Cairns and I did ocean racing. And I loved ocean racing, just on the back of a ski, going as fast as you can out in the ocean. Loved it. Unfortunately, I was with a guy and we broke up, and I couldn't go with them anymore. So I had to do something else, and I did triathlons. Yeah.
But I understand.
That was basically how I got into it.
I understand there's a bit of a story to that too. Wasn't there a bit of paper that blew somewhere?
Oh yes, yeah. Before to get in, I just didn't sort of go in. I was swimming one day and just thought I'll try out triathlons, and I think I'd done one race, and I thought I was pretty good. And it was out at Lake Placid. The ride was out to Crystal Cascades and back, and I was last almost in the bike, and I saw these people going past on the bike against cane fields, and they were going so fast, and I go, oh, I want to be them. And so I'd finished the race. I'd come up to finish the race, and there was one person in front of me at the end. Like I was the last person in that race. Everyone was in. I went, oh my God, how bad am I? And I pushed that 5K and went, this is harder than I thought. So I trained and trained. I thought I better go into the pool and do some proper swimming. And the piece of paper that I thought I was going to follow blew off the pool deck, and the lady picked it up, and Denise, her name was, and she then said, oh, you need to get in with me and us and do some squad training. And she became one of my best friends. She was awesome. And so I got into squad training with her, and then squad, sort of half of those people were doing triathlon. So I followed that in through there. So it's pretty awesome. That piece of paper sort of actually did get me into the triathlons quicker, I think.
Wow. Serendipity.
Yeah.
The most I've ever run is 5K. And there was someone, I was chasing someone. So I caught them. Yeah, I did. There's a story behind that, actually. But yeah.
We'll turn the cameras around, we'll flip them.
Actually, yeah, I will quickly share this one, actually, and so kind of then you can tell us yours. But so I've just come out of the Queensland Police Service, and I got called to a job in Mirrabul. I turned up there, and I had to arrest the offender, and I've gone, and they said, oh, he's out the back, and it was a violent thing where there was violence involved with him and his then spouse. So I've gone, okay, so you're under arrest. Done because these things you're supposed to do, like if you can, you're supposed to touch them on the shoulder and all this kind of stuff. Like it's really Edwardian, Peelian, kind of Agatha Christie. So I've done that. Okay, so you're under arrest. And I just started walking forward to him, and he's just like turned around, and it's one of those actually it's taller than me. I'm Imperial 6 foot, so it's a little over 6 foot. Those the green wooden fences. He's just turned around, boom, over it. And I'm like, whoa. So bam, I did, because I was in my early 30s then. So I was kind of fit, boom. So I'm chasing him. And I chased this guy for about 1.5 kilometers, and I'm reeling him in. He's looking over his shoulder, and I'm like, yeah, I'm going to get this guy. All of a sudden, he starts jumping fences again and going through houses. Like he went through people's houses. Like they left their doors open, boom, he'd go through the houses. You could hear all these people screaming and stuff like that. Anyway, I lost him because he started going through houses. And I'm walking back, and I'm in full uniform, and I'm sweating like a pig, and everyone had seen, like, people coming out of their houses watching this copper chase this guy around, because and it went like it was. I would have chased him for about 1.5 kilometers, probably a little bit more, and that's like 10 minutes. Yeah, like not 10 minutes. That would have been a good 7 minutes running, and then I'm walking back humiliated, no one in tow, and all the kids are out like ha ha ha, and like people are like giggling, and I'm just like, man. Anyway, so I lost him and went, I'm going to get this guy, and I found out who he was and all that, and I thought I'm not going to get a team. I am going to run this guy down. I am going to hunt him down, and I'm going to own him. So I turned up the next day, and I thought, no, I don't need kit or anything like that, because you got all the stuff all over you, radios, and like it's an extra. It's about like you're running with 7 to 10 kilograms just on you there. So I thought, yeah. So I thought, sneakers, handcuffs, that's it. Me versus him. I run him down, put the bracelets on him. So I turned up at the house. I turned up, parked the car, and I just had like a civilian shirt on and running, like I had running stuff. And I started jogging up to the house, and I'm running up, and he's on the driveway, and he's looked up, and I've seen him, and he's looked at me. He didn't recognize me, but like I had the predator, because like I was out of uniform, and I had the predator look. When you just go onto someone, like you just look at them, and they know. He knew, and he just turned around, boom, he was off. So the chase was on again. And dead set, like same, he didn't go to the same place, but like, all over these, through this stuff. And the kids are out again, like all these kids, like it was on a weekend. So all these kids out, they are everywhere. Like it's like this, and they're like, hey, they're all like yelling, and, and he just threw down, dropped him, like braceleted him. But I walked him right back through Mirrabul. Like I walked him round.
Did you get the claps from the kids?
Yeah, they loved it. They loved it. So that was the longest. That was the longest run I ever had.
Yeah. Those sort of things make up all your happiness. Those fun events.
Well, I mean, it's really great. Yeah. Well, it's really great that you use sport and running and stuff like that to kind of like to get in it. So what do you do to when you're going to run that far? Like you've indicated, it's more mental than anything else. What do you do to get What do you do to get yourself in that zone? You've got to walk us through that.
Well, I do trail running now, ultra trails. So it's even further than your marathons. But I guess the intensity of speed is not there. But, you know, you're sort of concentrating more on tree roots and rocks and things like that. So you just know that you can run it one foot in front of the other and whatever's in your mind. I think you tend to go back to, first of all, it's sort of what's in your mind there and then. And so it sort of runs itself out. And then you go back to, well, I don't know, memories or what's around you at the time, or you just do it.
Do you have to psych yourself up? Like 42 could, you know, now, and I'm unfit, but even when I was kind of fit, like for me to run 5 kilometers, which I know by your standards is nothing, but I had to psych myself up to run that. Like I had to sit there and go, okay, you know, you can do this. It's 5 kilometers. I want it in a good pace. And I used to run it pretty hard to give myself a little bit of due.
Yeah.
But like, you know, what do you do? Like, you know, do you kind of like, is there a little ritual that you have? Do you kind of...
You have to do it. So I think the key is making sure you're ready and don't fart ass around. So if you do things beforehand and not be organised, you tend to go, oh, well, I'm not ready. Oh, it's too late now, or I don't want to do it. You sort of get yourself organised, put on everything straight away, do your routine and go. And it is what it is. Yeah.
Okay. Do you train people now? Like, do you coach? Look, with all this experience of...
No.
Well, can I make an observation that there's a talent gone to waste? You know that you're coaching people. You just don't know it. You're kind of doing it. And I'd suggest that, especially through this interview, that you're doing the same thing. But if you could train someone in the running triathlete field, what would you recommend that you never had the chance to explore yourself?
I think a good athlete is a happy athlete, one who enjoys what they do and know their capabilities. So I definitely train them to their strengths and work on what they're insecure about, but make them a happy athlete. I look at them now, the people who really embrace the fun of it and just go, oh my God. And he's allowed to do that. Like I was never even allowed to laugh. I remember there was a couple of guys who was sponsored here that I used to ride with, and they were sponsored by a German guy and this coach that I had. They saw him together, and I went a couple of times to camps with them when we go riding up through all the ranges, and we used to sing after it. I get knocked down, but I get up again. And we got told off so bad, you know, you're not allowed, you know, no singing, this is serious and all like that. And I look at Usain Bolt now and all the beautiful athletes that embrace the fun side of the enjoyment. And I went, geez, you know, the people who enjoy their sport are the ones that, you know, are very seriously trained, but enjoy their training and the people around them. And I would definitely have a network for an athlete, if I was training, you know, to go out with, that it's positive, that they can, you know, talk to or something like that. Definitely not what I did and do it solo as a female. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Look, that raises another issue that I'd like to kind of delve into. Obviously, males and females respond to different stimulus and stuff like that. Like we're kind of...
Definitely. Yeah.
Yes. So
beings, aren't we? We're the emotional people.
Yeah.
If someone had said, I remember hearing my coach one time said, you know, oh my God, she kept up with us the whole way. And they were talking about, you know, how I did this ride and this run afterwards, sort of brick session. And I went, like, tell me, you know, don't let me overhear these things. So, you know, I would go 100 miles for anyone who said something positive to me and all like that. And I think that's why in teaching, I try to embrace that as well, you know, give them the positives as well as working them to their, you know, challenges. So
Right.
there's been a good teaching moment for me of how I was does train. So yeah.
So this, so the skills and abilities and practices that you've learned through through overcoming these challenges have benefited you in your teaching career.
Absolutely. Mm.
Are there any other facets of your life where you've applied this knowledge, or where it's kind of assisted with that?
I went over to New York to teach, not to teach, to consult, for over 6 years, but it was in the South Bronx in the gang schools. So you had to really connect with people then and work with who they were first and then build around it. So I think all those sort of building of life sort of also helped me in those situations, because you can't go in with a strong head in those environments. You've got to work with who they are and build their capacity from there. So it was that sort of led into that too.
Can you discuss that experience a little bit more? How did that come about? What did you do? What happened?
In the Bronx?
Yeah.
I was a teacher at school, got a job in New York, and she was, and still is, my dearest friend. And her and her husband went over there, and I came back and the gentleman was walking around. She said, "Come and have a look at our school." He was interested in the school, and he walked past the classroom that I had, and he just said, "Oh, if she's interested in a job," and I said the lady said that she'd be pretty good at it, give her a shot. So it took me a year. I was very insecure and didn't think I could do that sort of work. A lot of professional people in that company, and took the chance and thought, what's a year? I'll go for a year. And just over 6 years later, it was hard. It was really difficult, but rewarding, so rewarding.
So you got poached, basically. Someone has come along and seen you teaching and gone, I want that person over on the other side of the world teaching kids. That's kind of pretty cool.
No, it wasn't teaching. I was going into schools and working with teachers to improve their pedagogy, to improve their teaching, to improve their connection with their children, their understanding of content. So I was trying to be their role model, I guess you would say, in consulting with them.
You were teaching the teachers.
That's right. So a different school each day. I had to get ready the next day for a different school. Work with a network of principals to improve what they're doing in the schools too. Behavioural management was a big issue, of course, in the Bronx, in the South Bronx. So
someone's walking past, they've seen you teaching and gone, I want that teacher teaching my teachers. Yeah, have I got that correct?
Well, teaching at the schools, but Diane was sort of the one that pointed and said, she would be quite good in that role, even though she hasn't been a principal herself or written a book or an article or anything. So they took a chance, I guess, and Diane actually pushed that little envelope to be open for me.
Holy guacamole.
It was a huge experience, yeah.
So any cool war stories from your time in literally the Bronx?
Oh gosh, yeah. I caught up in about 3 gun episodes. Some teachers biting another teacher's fingers off, like kids stabbing each other. Look, it was full on, but in the same deal, there were some amazing teachers and some amazing kids that were lost in the system that would, you just go, oh my gosh, if you were in another school, in another place on this earth, you would be amazing. But unfortunately, home circumstances and that, so there was the extreme kids, and there was the kids that knew they were involved.
That really does go, okay, well, oh man, there's so many questions in my head right now. I genuinely want you to run through, like, okay, so you're at shots fired situations that kind of like.
Oh, there's
you want to tell me about that? Can we dig a little deeper onto that one?
I was trying to help this teacher who didn't believe that the kids could. I was doing math with them, and they had all these manipulatives that they'd work with, because I was trying to encourage hands-on connection with math. And he said the kids are just throw everything. I used to call that school Missile City, and he didn't believe it. And I said, if they own it, if they organised all these materials, they won't do it. They will have ownership. And he didn't believe me. I said, let's do it and let's see. All we can do is see. So I thought I'd go out and buy him these basket things so he can put all the manipulatives in, so they can do that. And I thought, out the front way you've got security guards, of course. So I wasn't going to go through all that rigmarole again. So I went out the back way. And the back way, there was a little road, dead end road, and a street. And all these people were looking at me. And I just went, white girl, I know, but that's ridiculous. So many people looking at me. And you just see these shake of heads. And I was walking into the cops on one side with their guns out behind a car door, and this other guy behind a tree with the gun out at the cops, and I'm walking right in the middle of it. And it was like, I froze. It was like, oh dear, wrong situation. And it could have easily gone belly up, that one, but it didn't. I snuck back and everything sort of rolled out. But, yeah, there was another guy at this Hunts Point, which is the worst place in the South Bronx, and finished the school day and was going to the train, and these two guys were there, and other kids had just come out, the high school kids, and one turned to the other and shot his kneecaps out right beside me. And he's, shut your kneecaps. He went down, and I swear within 10 seconds, 100 cops were around, and it was like, it just all could happen all beside you. Like, they're just two stories that's,
Okay.
outside stories of the school.
Wow.
Yeah.
I wonder what that one was over. So anyway.
Yeah.
Right, but the other kind of sad thing is, and this does happen everywhere, not to run down our American cousins. I've worked up the Cape and in the Straits a little bit too, and I got to say, there's nothing more tragic than seeing human potential unfulfilled.
Yes.
It's the saddest thing in the world.
Agree.
Have you got any?
Before, there was so much potential in some of the kids, even with their academics, let alone sporting abilities, that you just go, and the people who make it out never come back into role model. And I think that's one of the saddest things too. If you make it out of the Bronx, unless you're a celebrity like J-Lo and that, they don't come back and they don't mentor. And I think kids need to see what they can become. If you don't see it, you can't reach for it. I really think they need to have people come back and show them that they can be successful.
So that's not a cliche. They really need to be able to go, okay, well, this person came from this background, and
just like what we're doing. Like, I'm showing people what you can become, and they can see online, but they've got no one to go, look what I can become.
It's genuinely saddening when you think.
And like you say, up the Cape, there's poverty generates sadness like that. The potential, for a lot of people, it's not there.
The thing that used to sadden me the most, there really are good opportunities there. In fact, you've got a couple of people who are looking for people to pluck and grab and kind of run away.
Yeah, but there's more opportunity, I think, for sporting people rather than academics, drama and things like that, especially academics up there. Who goes up there to try and find someone academic?
Yeah, that's right. And believe me, the potential
get on the radar a lot easier than academics or drama or things like that.
Yeah.
So Richie Costello is a great one who's got a lot of people into marathons. He's trained groups and got them successfully doing the New York Marathon and inspiring others to follow and train along with that. And he's done an awesome job there. So I think sporting wise can be easily detected than academics and drama. I think art's going, you can work and identify art, but maybe not drama and academics so much.
You were involved in a kind of male-dominated sport, and there's nothing wrong with that. I'm a proud male and all that kind of stuff. But you were
good people that did support me in that time. The guys who I cycled with, there was also I went a bit rebel and went and ran with some guys that Nev Appleby was coaching at the time, just grabbed some guys together and we went to St Mary's Oval and ran, and I think that's where I got my really good speed. After like going to uni, I was really quick, but then lost it, and then he drove it back for me. So I had a little bit of time before he stopped that. So there were some definitely good men around, but not that good coach.
Yeah, it only takes one, really, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Takes one fly in the ointment, and it becomes definitive. That's the unfortunate thing too. It's just the human psychology. Like you remember you might have 5 good, 1 bad, what sticks in your mind. And unfortunately, if that person is a position of authority, so if they're your coach, pick an example entirely at random, it's, yeah.
I get so nervous about what he expected of me that I would drive out to the races, out the beaches, go around the roundabout and come home.
Wow.
It would just did my head in so badly. So then I decided not to race in Cairns, and I just race in Sydney and Geelong and all the other places. I couldn't deal with Cairns. So I understand people when they say I get anxious and all like that, and I can understand where the kids at school are coming from when they say they're really anxious, so that I get it. So it's helped me understand them, I guess.
Right. So one of the other messages that I'm getting from this is, so you've got someone who is a peak athlete, and what we see is someone who's trained. You assume a certain amount of dedication that goes with the training. You assume all this kind of confidence and everything, but behind that mask, there's actually a fair bit of anxiety and stuff swimming around in there.
Yeah, definitely.
In the head. Wow. Which again is in some ways revealing that vulnerability it's inspirational. So I mean, I don't feel silly when I say, because people ask me about this podcast and go, "Well, how's it going?" I go, "Surprisingly well, actually," from Gumby, who sits in his study.
Amazing interviews. The depth of people that you just pop up and you go, "Oh my God, the stories, amazing."
Yeah, well, thanks. But like for this a Gumby from North Queensland who hasn't even got something to cover his window properly, and gets to talk to people of your ability. I mean, I say with this, people ask me, how did you do it? I've had a few people now go, I'm keen to start a podcast. I go, okay. And they go, well, how do I do it? And I go, you just do it. Like, I tell them, don't get me wrong, I give them the mechanics. It's like, well, I use Zoom, I do this and this, and I go through that. It's actually, and it's not even the best thing to do. There's all these apps and stuff out there. Unfortunately, they cost money and I'm not sponsored. So I simply can't afford it. But there are apps where you can run stuff to Facebook and YouTube at the same time and hit BitChute and all these, you can do all that. But I said, look, I just don't have the money, and unfortunately, I don't have the time to edit as much as I'd like. I do a little bit of editing, but, I've given myself a time period and that's all I've got. But just do it.
Yeah.
Just do it. Just do it. It's like pulling the shoes.
It's a good phrase. Just do it.